Hi guys, and welcome back. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Amanda. We are a family living in southeast Queensland. We are on acreage property and we grow and preserve as much food as we can, utilising our solar system to run our stoves or using the gas and running smokers, etc. from outside as well, so keeping our electricity costs down as much as possible. Also, our food costs dramatically have decreased and our wastage has also decreased as well because we compost a lot of our produce. We dehydrate, or I dehydrate, pressure can, water can, smoke and cook everything from scratch. So let's have a tour and see what's left on the shelf. After 2 months plus of being on a pantry challenge, that I've decided, because I've run out of some of the main items in the pantry, that I need to do a very, very small basic shop. From that point on, I could continue to be on a pantry challenge indefinitely, but it's taught me a lot. It's taught us what we use, what we don't use, what we need to grow in the garden, what we don't need to grow in the garden this season as well, because we've got so much stock still preserved. So instead of wasting the garden beds using up space to grow things that we don't need, because we've been pressure canning and storing a lot of our low acid fruits and vegetables. Therefore, I don't need to grow them this year, which means I can grow new things in the garden, which is good. So lots of new skills have also been learned. The dehydrator, so I have a new dehydrator that I've been using for a couple of months, and it's got a temperature control on it, which makes it a lot easier for me to dehydrate different foods, whereas the previous dehydrator I had just simply had low, medium and high, and no timer. You just turned it on and then you just turned it off. This one has a timer, as well as it's got the thermometer as well, so I can regulate my temperatures. And currently in the dehydrator is the end of the sour cream that I've been dehydrating for the past 48 hours. So I'm turning that into a powder, something else that I'm doing as well. Let's have a look on the shelves, see what's left, and I'll talk through what I've got, how long I've canned it for, whether it's pressure canned or water canned, and whether or not I need to replace anything. Let's have a look around. So like I said, we're in the nook, which is the end of my kitchen. Probably would have been a dining room, but there's already another dining room as well, so I don't need two dining rooms. However, I do need additional storage space. So we have some new shelving, and that's where my pressure canners, etc. are stored at the moment. And on this shelf is where my stocks are. So I've got chicken broths and chicken stocks. I've also got veggie stocks, as well as some brown onions stock. These were pressure canned back in May, and I've got looks like four quart jars of onion stock. That was the end of our 20 kilos of onions that we grew. So I have onion stock on the shelves. Vegetable stock, again, just made with all of the veggies from the garden, different ones. This lovely clear one, as well as a much darker, richer stock. There will be more greens in this, probably celery tops in that one to make that vegetable stock. They've been pressure canned for 20 minutes. They're vegetable stocks. This one has also been pressure canned, so quarts and pints both are 20 minutes in the pressure canner. Chicken stock has been pressure canned as well for 20 minutes, and these ones were done in July, so about 6 weeks or so ago were the chicken stocks. Also did a lot of onions, and people wonder why. Well, we grew our own and we had to preserve it, so I've got quite a lot of onions which can go straight on a barbecue and be caramelized. I can use them in all of my cooking whenever I need 2 onions. So this is 2 onions. Every pint jar equals approximately 2 onions. So they're already chopped, ready to go for soups, casseroles. Like I said, caramelized on the barbecue as well, reduces the cooking time and means that we don't use as much gas. Cans of tomatoes. For those of you who watched previously would know that I purchased a whole bulk amount of produce from a kitchen that had closed down. So I did get these big A10 cans of tomatoes. I'd been hunting them anyway. So I'd been looking around. I'd been to Costco. They didn't have them. I'd been to our local outlet. They didn't have them. Woolworths, Coles, etc. They don't sell them. And I couldn't get them online. So I'd been hunting them, and I managed to get 30 cans, and I paid $2.50 per can of these giant 2.5 kilos, and I use those to make tomato soup whenever I'm doing a bolognese, whatever. Got plenty of tomatoes now to get us through so we don't run out. So I don't need to grow tomatoes this season in the garden, which is good. I've got cherry tomatoes for fresh tomatoes, but I don't need to grow the larger tomatoes. So I've still got some tomatoes on that side as well, but I've also got tomato paste, which is good because we're coming into pizza season. We'll make a fair few veggie pizzas, etc. So the tomato paste, these are going to get recanned. So I'm going to open them and I'm going to put them in half pint jars instead and reprocess them just the same amount of time as I would when I was doing a normal tomato paste. I've got some of our fresh tomato paste on the shelf as well. That's just some of my bulk items that I use for baking, so flour, sugar, corn flour, almond meal, all of that. Didn't run out of any of that, but I am low on all of the ingredients that I use to make my gluten-free breads. Back to all of the canning stuff. So I have one single jar of sweet potato, but luckily I have just harvested some sweet potatoes, so I will be planting more sweet potatoes. Carrots, I still have quite a bit, and I've got fresh carrots in the fridge as well from the garden, so I don't need any more carrots, pressure canned. And the carrots I've got, I'll probably turn them into carrot soup. I've got pears. Now, the pears and the apples, there's no apples left on the shelves, but the apples I purchased because we've got an apple tree down the back that I've been in. I had a look at today and I'm amazed it's in full blossom, which is great, but I don't have any apples at the moment and I haven't had for many years. So we purchased these big A10 tins and once again, open them up, separate them. I blend them, puree them, and then I reprocess them. Some of them I'll keep whole this time for apple pie because we're coming into more of a warmer season, so I might make an apple pie or two. So I'll put some as apple pie filling and the rest I will blend up once again as baby food for my little grandson. The dehydrated materials that I've got or ingredients, mushrooms, I've done those myself quite some time ago and they're perfectly fine, lovely. Mushrooms, celery powder, green onion powder, fresh spring onions that were just sliced up so they can go back into soups, and I'm making Alfredo, so I will use some of those in the Alfredo. Some more mushrooms and our garlic from our garden as well. So I've got granulated garlic that I can turn into powder. I've got my bananas to make my banana powder, which is what I use for making the banana nut bread. So and the banana muffins. So I've got to use that into a muffin mix as well later date. Plenty of honey still. I have almost 3 kilos of honey left. I had 5 kilos and that's from our local honey farm as well. And another big jar. This is a fresh jar of celery powder that I did up yesterday, day before, and it's just making sure that it's completely dry before I put it into its permanent jar. So that's just fresh celery from the garden. Back to the shelves. So I've got some tomato salsa. I do have strawberry sauce. This is pure strawberries and just some sugar, and it's not been taken all the way to a jam. It's got some lemon juice in it as well. And so these are strawberry sauce that goes with the coconut yogurt that I make or the natural yogurt that I make. It can also go into milkshakes, thick shakes, ice creams, everything ready for our lovely warm summer that we're expecting. So the pears, just the same as the apples, they were a large tin that I separated into what would be just a normal serving size. So this is perfect just to have up with ice cream or to add to other ingredients as well. Lemon juice from our lemons from the trees. This will be used throughout the year because we no longer have citrus growing now until next winter. So we have a good 6 months plus where we don't have lemons. So I managed to save 3 jars of lemon juice. Each of these equals to the juice of 2 to 3 lemons. So I'll be able to use those because they're 250 mils. These are in my Salisbury & Co. jars, which have the increments. So they're in 250 mil little jars, and that's enough to make some more lemon curd when I run out of lemon curd throughout the year. I have peaches, same thing. Peaches came from a large can that was then broken down into smaller serves to use throughout the year. Ruby grapefruit from our own trees, pickled onions, and my beautiful hot salsa sauce or my Tabasco sauce. This guy has got some heat to it. So there are equivalent to 50 chilies in each of these jars, and they are jalapeno and I think they were ghost chilies possibly, or habanero, so they've got some heat in them. So just a small little 50 ml jar is plenty. We have salsa, which has been added smoke to those ones, and then my own tomato paste as well, fresh from the garden. Strawberry conserve, strawberry jams, blueberries, just a couple of jars of whole blueberries, some raspberry jam, like I said, the lemon curd, which lasts for 3 months or so on the shelf before it needs to go into the refrigerator. These ones were just done in July, so I've still got a month before they need to go in the refrigerator or into the freezer. So I've got probably 10 jars left at the moment. Some more strawberry sauce, but this one is thicker. It got taken a little bit further, so that one's going to be turned into ice cream. These will be passata. A few jars of the passata that were made in June, so they're not too old. Again, some salsa, and we've already seen carrots. All right, whole strawberries, as well as diced strawberries. So these are to be used throughout the year when it's not strawberry season, and our strawberry season is just coming to the end, which is why I've bottled so much strawberry sauce, because we won't be getting fresh strawberries locally anymore. These have come from the neighbour's farm, which is perfect. So our strawberries that are whole in a light syrup will just be blended up and added to jams and sauces and ice cream yogurts throughout the year when I run out of my prepared strawberry sauces. These are strawberry jams, little jars of strawberry jams, just little pots to give away as gifts. There's bolognese. That's a smoky bolognese and a beefy bolognese from the Bald Book of Canning. So that's a combination of beef and pork. The recipe does call for just beef, and this is just a beef one. But on top of that, I had some pork left over, so I did a pork and beef one, and that was 2 months ago. They were pressure canned for 100 minutes. I have fresh Tassie salmon that was also pressure canned for 100 minutes, and these are my last remaining jars that were done back in early July. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 jars. So that's a month's worth of salmon, maybe 2 if I push it. Soups, we've got the depression soup, which is a cauliflower soup. I have a potato and pumpkin soup as well. Yes, they are blended, but they're very thin. No more than my butternut pumpkins, which reminds me I need to do some butternut pumpkins again as well. So that's my potato and pumpkin soup. This is my Thai pumpkin soup, and this is the tomato soup that I make out of the cans of tomatoes. So 2 cans of tomato yields me 6 of these number 27 jars, which hold 850 mils. I only have 3 of those left now, and I've recanned them twice. So I need to make another batch up as well. Ugly chicken. Not many people like the ugly chicken here, actually. I don't eat chicken, but the rest of the family are not too keen on it. But I turned it into meatballs, blended it up, added some other ingredients to it, fried them all up, and they ate them that way. So that was good. There's a potato and ham soup as well, which is something that we usually have for winter, not so much during summer. So I'll decide whether or not those 4 jars remain, or whether or not they get used, or possibly even fed to the dogs as a treat, just so I can free up the shelves. The last of our sweet corn, so there are 4 quart jars and 5 quart jars of the potatoes, which are perfect to go in the oven and crisp up and turn into roast potatoes or wedges, and they're really good with the bagel mix that I make up as well. There's some sweet chili sauces, 3 left. I had 12 of them. Those jars are 4 years old. This is the final ones that were water bathed about 3 or 4 years ago. They're still perfect. They're mostly vinegar and sugar. Pretty much that's what they are, 50% vinegar, 50% sugar, and chilies out of the garden, and they're beautiful. But they're the last 3 jars. So we're growing more chilies for this year, and that is a coffee syrup, a caramel coffee syrup that I've done up as well, and water bath this one as well, so it's shelf stable for some time, because I'm never going to get through that much as well as what's in the fridge anytime soon. That's perfect for ice cream, milkshakes, or straight into coffees as well. On this side, we've got our caramelised onion jam, fresh capsicums, and yes, there is some air in the jar because they went in raw packed and then they're cooked when they are pressure canned, and so the capsicum does break down, and there's enough liquid still covering their surfaces. They don't last very long anyway. They get used. I'm down to my last 4 jars, and then I'm out of capsicums, but it is coming into our growing season, which means I can grow some more. We've got golden chutney. We've got chicken casserole, which is from the Ball book, and so there's chicken casserole. What's left of my smoky baked beans is 5 jars, and so then I'm out of baked beans for the year. That's hummus prepared, ready to just have the olive oil added to it. So these jars just need to be drained off, keep the liquid, add some olive oil, blended them all up, and then just add back the liquid as I need it, just to bring it back to consistency. Some strawberry jam, some corn relish as well, some more of the caramelized onion and the golden chutney, more of the whole strawberries, and at the top we've got dill pickles and caramelized onion, as well as the final amount of the strawberry sauce. My library's tomato sauce that I need to, or ketchup that I need to put into smaller containers, because that's 5 litres. So I need to transfer that into smaller bottles so that we don't have to open that big one and then waste it. Some salts, got to use the salts, the tomato machine that's used the juicer during the year. Some mineral oil for covering the eggs to keep the eggs lasting a bit longer, and my library of books. All of the different big pots that are used during water bathing and when I'm making up my soups and stocks. This one holds 10 litres and the bottom one holds about 20 litres or 25 litres. Pressure cooker, need the pressure cooker. Use that for everything. It reduces the time that I'm making any of the cooked recipes, and especially stocks. So I can start my stocks off in the pressure cooker and reduce the time that I'm using power on the stove, depending on how much sunshine we've got. Now we're coming into summer. No, this one doesn't get used before you all worry. This is my grandfather's old aluminium stock pot. It's kept just purely for sentimental reasons. Its base is, as you can see, completely warped. It's being used outside in the fire to cook crabs in. That's it. We don't use it for pressure cooking or anything else. That's my water bath canner. It holds 23 litres. It gets used the most, and so does this Presto canner. Gets used on an induction cooktop. So as long as when you're purchasing it, it says induction cooktop, suitable or compatible, then that Presto is perfect to use. And I've been using that for the past 6 months inside while it's been too cold, to be using the large All-American, which is outside in the area with gas hooked up to it instead, which we're not going out there because it is so windy and cold. It's horrible. So I'm not going out there today. I need to deal with these butternuts. These 2 in particular, these ones came from our garden and I was just feeling them. They're not soft, but they definitely need to be processed. So I'm going to just put whole butternut squash into jars and pressure can them. I'll dice them up and then I can use them throughout the year for sauce. The big one is fine. It doesn't need anything. It's still perfectly fine. It's several kilos. So I'm going to hang on to that one when I need to make some fresh pumpkin soup, which I eat all year round. Onions, this is the end of 40 kilos of onions that the garden produced throughout the year. So that's the end of it. So these ones are quite soft. They'll probably just go out in the compost pile, or maybe I'll turn them into stock. I don't know. I'll break them. I'll cut them open and have a look and see whether or not they're usable. If they're not usable, then they'll just go out into the garden, into the compost pile. So like I said, today's just been one of those. It's been a busy day. That is condensed milk, sweetened condensed milk. So I'm about to start cooking some caramelized oat slices, and I'm just dehydrating the last of the sour cream, like I said earlier. So the sour cream has been cooking now for about 24 hours. I started it yesterday. It's been in the refrigerator and chilled down as well. And it's back in the dehydrator until it's finished drying properly. So 2 months of the pantry challenge, things that I ran out of. Vegemite. Can't run out of Vegemite. That was the very first thing that I ran out of a couple of weeks ago. So that's been a little bit difficult because I have Vegemite, like most of us do, first thing in the morning as our starter and coffees. So ran out of rice, and I ran out of, well, it's getting close to running out of my baker's flour, which I use for breads as well as turning into self-raising flour for cakes and cookies and things like that. Corn flour was the other thing that I definitely ran out of, and I've just replenished my corn flour. I've just put in a bulk order with iHerb as well. So I've got some maple essence coming so I can make maple syrups up. I know it's going to be a synthetic maple syrup, and I understand that proper maple syrup has got some really good health benefits, and I've got good maple syrup, which it's in the refrigerator, that's fine. But for doing some baking, and I'm also going to be doing bacon later this year as well. So when it warms up a little bit more, I want to do some bacon out in the smoker. So I need some maple syrup for that, or maple essence for that. So I've ordered some maple essence. I've also ordered a few other things. Cheese powder. Really difficult to get cheese powder, and it takes forever to do it in the dehydrator, but it's something that I need for doing the Alfredo pasta sauce mix, and I do that pre-done so that it takes me no time to make the dinner throughout the summer months. During some months, it's going to be grabbed from the shelves here, so that's why there's a little bit of bolognese, although I probably need to make some more. And I've probably got some mince still in the freezer, and I'm sure I've got pork, if not beef. I've probably got both still. And I also got chicken as well. So I do need to do some more bolognese sauce, because it gets used for everything, for the lasagna, for savory mince, for the bolognese pasta as well. Sorry, I'm just looking at my German Shepherd outside who's been naughty. Sorry about that. Just had to go and bring him in and put him away. So where was I? Pasta sauce, yeah. So everything gets made directly from the shelves during summer. So I don't do much cooking throughout the spring summer period. That all happens during winter. So for 3 months I stock up these shelves. So I do need to do a few things. Obviously 6 jars of pumpkin soup is not enough to sustain us for 6 months. Yeah, 6 months. So I am going to have to make up some more pumpkin soup and get those on the shelves. They're in my, what are those called? Fowler jars, and my number 27s. That's the only thing that goes in Fowler number 27s is the soup, because it's a perfect size. I love those jars. They're just really hard to get here in Queensland because pressure canning, water canning wasn't done that much in this area. We were a food bowl, but we didn't preserve our food. We had factories and things like that. So pressure canning wasn't something that got done here at all, period. But water bath canning, even more rare to happen in our local areas. So finding jars is really hard. The rest of these jars are Salisbury & Co. They are my favourite. And if you've been on this channel, you know that. So this is one of the 2 litre or half gallon, I think is the American. They're big. Yeah, they're about 2 litres. And I use all of these for my dry goods, my sugars, my flours, my pastas, my milk powders, things like that, cornstarches. So I love these. But what's good about them is these ridges for your hands, for this amount of weight as you're reaching up to try to get that from a shelf. So they're really good. I love those. Other jars that I love. So these are your kilners. Kilners, as you know, are quite expensive. This one is the Salisbury & Co. You can see the ribs on it. But then these beautiful unmarked jars, Temu of all places, with a 2-part lid. They were quite cheap, in fact. That's how they come, in a little roll. I think I bought 48 of them, maybe, because I wanted to test them out. I wanted to see if they would sustain the water canner pressure and heat, plus also how they responded, how they stored, and I'm actually quite surprised. So I'll be buying more of these. In fact, I've got 2 packs of them here, and can you see the ones up above me?
they're all half pint jars as well. They come in pints as well. But as a half pint jar that's reasonably wide lid, it's standard size lid, perfect for most things that we're using here. These jars, however, these are lug lid jars. Okay, so this particular brand is Anko, which is our Kmart's brand. And although they were okay to use the first time, they were fine. I've got some potatoes up there that are in them. The lids just are not good to use the second time around. They wear very quickly, and then of course you've got to replace this lug lid. I was hoping that they would fit the two-part lids because they're a wide mouth, and I thought they would fit a two-part lid system, which they do. You can get a two-part lid system on them. The problem is, unfortunately, I've pressure canned one of these with the two-part lid, and it didn't take. And it was a new top and a new ring. So there's just something different about the shape. I don't know what it is, but I'm not risking it. But it's perfect for my dry goods. So used them the first time. Couldn't get the lids off. That was another problem with them. Couldn't unscrew the lids. The pressure was just too much, and so I had to use a knife to lift and release the lids on the Kmart ones. They are a lot cheaper than a standard mason jar, of course. They are, but not something that I would want to be using long term. Perfect for dry stores, you know, don't have an issue with that, but not for pressure canning, which is a shame because they've got a wide mouth and they were quite cheap. I think these were like $2 a jar. I broke my first kilner. Shock horror. I've never broken a jar before. I broke it in the pressure canner, but I broke it in the water canner, sorry, not the pressure canner. And I broke it doing a strawberry jam a couple of weeks ago. Why? I think it was thermal shock, judging by the breakage of the jar. It still had a base. It was still in one piece, and I heard the snap, but it was 1 out of 30 something jars I did that day. So it was quite surprising that one particular one decided that it wanted to break. So whether or not it was damaged prior to me using it, I don't know because they're all shipped to me. But yeah, so that one. So I broke a kilner jar, which is one of these, wide mouth, 500 ml. Cost me quite a bit of money, they did. So I wasn't very impressed that one of them broke. I forgot to take the rings off these strawberries. There you go, rings off it now. Yeah, so one of them broke, but it was still intact as the jar was, but its contents were everywhere. So it still had the base, it still had the middle, and it still had the top, but the crack was running all the way around the jar. So all I can think of was looking at the way that it broke, that it was thermal shock. So not surprising. It's winter here. I'm amazed I haven't had more broken jars, to be honest, with the difference in temperatures when I turn off pressure canners and cool them. I'm surprised I haven't broken more. All right, so like I said, Pantry Challenge is over. I have a lot of work that needs to be done on the outside of the property, so that's almost the end of my canning for the year. Like I said, I still need to do some sauces, some soups, and some bolognese. But other than that, pantries are pretty full considering we've been on a challenge for the past 2.5 months and haven't purchased any items at all. So I'm quite surprised by that. But learned a lot along the journey. And so now our busy, God, it is blowing a gale. I don't know where that's coming from. It's freezing too. Sorry, just got distracted. So really did get distracted. All right, so I've got lots to do outside, in the garden, in the veggie gardens, getting all of our produce grown, ready for harvesting again, ready to put back into all of these jars. But it's nice to see the nook full, even though we've been on this pantry challenge, and my cupboards are pretty full too, so we haven't done too badly. Yeah, not too much that I really ran out of, so I'm quite surprised by that, other than some staples. Rice was a big one. I didn't stock up on rice. I didn't think that I would be making as many rice meals as I have been, but it has certainly been something. Rice, I've still got plenty of pasta, but it was rice, and that was something I didn't think that we really used that much of. So lesson learned to get some more rice for the pantries, and other than that, I'm pretty sure we could go possibly 6 months. But like my son said, we missed fresh fruit, so I did buy myself some fresh fruit this past week. So it's been nice to have some different food, some fresh fruit. And we're out of butter. That was the other thing. But we've got butter powder back there, as you can see. So I need to replace that for the pantry as well. That's it. Pantry challenge done. Pantry walk around done. Bit of a chatsies. Got work to do. Been down to the stables, fed all the animals. Found a paralysis tick on my pony, which it's not uncommon because of the bandicoots on the property here. We have a lot of paralysis ticks and all the animals have protection. It's never in 12 years have I ever had a tick on, I'm touching wood, have I ever had a tick, nor do I ever want to get another tick on the pony because she's got quite a wound beneath her throat that I need to go down there and do some work on now and put the collars back on the goats just in case. It doesn't affect them usually. However, 2 of 3 of those boys down the back have all had anti-tick venom in the past when they were kids, and so they can't have it again. So in the event that they did get brought down by a large number of ticks on them, which I thought I never want that to happen, but there are bandicoots everywhere down the back. So I do need to go and put the collars back on those animals. It is blowing a gale and freezing and not something that I want to do. Paddocks have been mowed, yay. Back paddock even got mowed, yay again, and so did the house yard. So other than veggie gardens, there's not much to do outside except rug up and get warm and go and start doing some work outside. While we've got sunshine though, I will put the pressure canner on and I will do bolognese. Might as well. I've been doing sugar all day today, so I might as well switch it up and just do some bolognese instead. All right, if you've come this far, thanks for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed. Oh, I didn't show you the fish. Fresh from the bay. Looks terrible, doesn't it? But it's fresh from the bay. This is snapper, and it's not snapper season anymore, which means we can't catch fresh snapper from the bay at all. So I have 4 jars of snapper, which have been cooked in the pressure canner for the required amount of time. But these have been smoked and seasoned as well. So I look forward to opening these and giving them a go and seeing what they're like as well. Something different. A white fish instead of salmon. Okay, let's go and get some work done. Thanks for joining me. Bye now.